We're in a new era of electricity demand growth. Data centers, factories, electric vehicles, and electrification of buildings are growing rapidly. In the next 5 years, some forecasts predict that we'll use 25% more electricity than we do today. And we are building mostly clean energy to meet this demand. Today, 35 gigawatts of solar, 19 gigawatts of wind, 20 gigawatts of energy storage are under construction, far outpacing the 9 gigawatts of gas power plants currently being built. That's enough power to supply energy to 12 million households. Together, these make up the vast majority of new resources being built to serve growing electricity demand. We need to build more, faster. On average, a power plant that requests the ability to connect to the grid takes 5 years or more before it is connected and supplying power. With aged coal plants retiring and data centers and EVs ravenous for new power, this is simply too slow. But what if there was a faster way to add more resources to the grid? The answer might lie in the hundreds of existing power plants scattered across the country that sit idle most of the time. New power plants like solar or batteries can share their grid connection point, an arrangement called surplus interconnection. The best candidates for sharing a grid connection include peaking gas power plants that only turn on during the most extreme conditions, wind plants that mostly generate at night, or really any solar plant that could use a battery to help with the evening air conditioning peak. In Utah, one solar facility is utilizing this approach to add storage to an existing project, turning the facility into a reliable energy powerhouse. In addition, dozens of large old power plants are planning to retire in the next 5 years, leaving their connections to the grid open to replacement resources. In Minnesota, one local utility is using the interconnection capacity left behind by the retirement of the Sherco coal plant to add over 700 megawatts of solar alongside energy storage. These existing connections to the grid have already been studied and approved by grid operators, and in most cases, making better use of these connections should avoid costly grid upgrades that can drive up the cost of new power projects. And this approach can cut years off the wait time for a grid connection. Using existing connection points can bring projects online in 2 or 3 years, compared to an average of 5 for the standard process. In other words, using these existing connections to the grid is a fast and low-cost way to add new supply to the grid. This opportunity is massive. Researchers from UC Berkeley estimate that over 1,000 gigawatts of new wind and solar and 260 gigawatts of energy storage could be added to the grid. If we just realize a fraction of this, it will go a long way toward meeting today's rapidly growing electricity demand. Our electricity system has flipped the growth switch on, and one of the best ways to meet the moment is making better use of existing power plants' connections to the grid.